Eskom is currently before Parliament giving an update on progress that it's making with the various problems of the entity. Eskom has given 23 recommendations by the Standing Committee on Public Accounts back in 2019. Some of them include ensuring that contracts must be managed by suitable or suitably skilled and qualified people, in order to ensure that expiring contracts are identified timeously and that the appointment of contractors is made through an open market process. Eskom is also joined today by the Special Investigating Unit and the Hawks appearing before that same committee. Newzroom Afrika's Athi Mtongana is live for us in Cape Town. Athi, tell us more about what Eskom has presented so far.
Well, as you have pointed out, Tembekile, Eskom is presenting before the Standing Committee on Public Accounts the 23 recommendations that were made by Scopa to Eskom back in 2019, and it's been a long time coming. There have been some outstanding recommendations that Eskom had not implemented, and so today they're presenting what they've done in trying to ensure that they do meet up to these recommendations that were made in the process of trying to turn around the entity, which has obviously been in debt for such a long time and has obviously implemented load shedding in the country over the past couple of years. I want to take you through recommendation 6.23. This is pertaining to Medupi and the Kusile power station, and what Eskom is saying today before Scopa is that they do have a budget that was approved for each of these stations. For example, for the Medupi power station, they had budgeted about 145 billion rands, and for Kusile they had budgeted 161 billion rands. And so to date, what they're saying before Scopa is that, for example, for Medupi they have 18.95 billion that is still outstanding in terms of costs, and when it comes to Kusile, they have a remaining investment or cost which is about 14 billion rands. I also need to mention that the recent fire at one of the stations, Tembekile, has resulted in Unit 5 not being in a functioning mode, and so they are presenting before Scopa that they still not sure about the cause of that particular fire, and so Unit 5 will not be working for the 2023 deadline that they actually have and that they're speaking to before this committee. They're also talking about cases implicating some of the former employees at Eskom, some of them who have resigned as a result of being investigated or going through disciplinary processes for being implicated in fraud and corruption within the entity. Let's listen to some of what was presented today.
With regard to civil litigation, civil proceeding has been instituted by SIU and Eskom against various former Eskom employee and former board members, a former executive authority and private individual to recover the 3.8 billion losses suffered as a result of state capture and involvement of the former directors and executive in it. And in August 2020, combined summons and particulars of claim were issued against 12 defendants, with the SIU cited as core plaintiff. The 12 defendants are the late Dr. Ngubani, Pemaski, Mr. Molefe, Mr. Singh, Mr. Koko, and Mr. Mabude, and Mrs. Daniels, and former Minister Zwani, Atul Gupta, AJ Gupta, T. Gupta, and Isa.
Insofar as some of the proclamations that were made, Eskom is saying that they have actually been working quite well with the Special Investigating Unit, which was led today and is still actually being led as they now are facing questions from members of Parliament, has been led by Advocate Ndimoti with the head of SIU. What Eskom has done in their internal processes is ensure that anyone within the entity that has been implicated in criminal conduct, they refer those cases straight to law enforcement agencies by the likes of the SIU. And so to date, they have referred about 131 criminal cases to the South African police, and 13 of those, Tembekile, have been completed and have been taken to court. And there's been a bit of a delay with regards to SAPS processing some of these cases. But let's listen to Advocate Ndimo TV, the head of the SIU, and what they have found through their investigations at Eskom.
This is a deliberate scheme used by the officials in terms of fleecing the Eskom. These links can only be identified from a review of bank accounts, which we did, email communications, extensive email search and communications, cell phone records that were analyzed, and other methods, investigative methods that we have used. What further complicates the identification of conflicts is that Eskom vendors often pay kickbacks to officials indirectly. This is another way that which they really hide this kind of payments, by paying the creditors of the officials directly. In other instances, we have found that payments are made to officials' child school fees, or by paying the officials' service providers and suppliers directly.
Athi Mtongana, thank you for that update from Cape Town.